Hello reception children, and welcome to this week's active story sessions. This is lesson 1 and we're going to be learning about a new traditional tale this week. I'm going to be telling you a new story, a new traditional tale. Do you remember the traditional tale we learnt last week? That's right, it was the 3 little pigs. This week our story is going to be Little Red Riding Hood. Have you heard of that one before? Well, I hope you're sitting comfortably and you enjoy the story. I will be stopping to ask questions sometimes, so listen out for those. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a small girl called Little Red Riding Hood. She lived with her parents beside a deep, dark forest. In a cottage on the other side of the forest lived her grandmother, and in the deep, dark forest lived a big, bad wolf. Okay, question time. So Red Riding Hood lived beside a deep, dark forest. I wonder if you would like to live beside a deep, dark forest. What do you think? Do you think that would be a good place to live? If you do, I wonder why. If you don't, I wonder why. I also want us to just have a look at this part of the picture. So let's have a look. Next to the wolf you can see there is a white bubble with some writing inside. This kind of bubble that you can see here is called a speech bubble. Sometimes you see that in pictures if a character is saying something. The wolf here is saying heh heh. I wonder if we'll see any more speech bubbles as we carry on our story. "Grandmother's poorly," said Little Red Riding Hood's mother one day. "Please take her this cake, but don't stop on the way." So Little Red Riding Hood set off through the deep, dark forest. She looked all around. There wasn't a sound. Then who should she meet but... let's make a prediction, boys and girls. Who do you think Little Red Riding Hood is going to meet in the woods? Who could it be? Tell me what you think. Now you've made a prediction. Let's carry on with the story and see if you were right. The big bad wolf. "Good day, my dear," growled the wolf with a big bad smile. "What are you doing here?" Can you see, boys and girls, that there's another one of those white bubbles here? It looks a little bit different this time. Instead of a speech bubble, this is a thought bubble. It shows what the wolf is thinking. So he isn't saying this out loud, but he's thinking, "She looks delicious. I'm going to Grandmother's to take her a cake," replied Little Red Riding Hood. And can you see she's thinking, "What big teeth." Okay, so there we saw some thought bubbles that showed us what the wolf and Red Riding Hood were thinking. I wonder what you would be thinking if you bumped into a wolf in the woods. The wolf had a plan. "Wouldn't your grandmother like some of these flowers?" he smiled. "Oh, what a good idea," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she stopped to pick a big bunch. Meanwhile, the wolf sped ahead through the deep, dark forest. At last he arrived at Grandma's cottage. So I'm going to stop there for today. We'll continue in our next lesson and find out what happens next. I have got a challenge for you today though. Do you remember earlier we saw in some of the pictures in this storybook there were speech bubbles and thought bubbles? Do you remember seeing those? Well, I've found some Red Riding Hood speech and thought bubbles, and I'd like you to think about what the characters might be thinking or saying in those pictures. If you want to, you could even have a go at drawing a picture and making your own speech bubbles and thought bubbles. You could have a go at writing what the characters say inside. I hope you enjoy that activity, and I can't wait to find out what happens next in the story during our next lesson. See you soon, boys and girls. Bye.